Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how I created this floral name plaque. I used various embellishments such as buttons, paper flowers, rhinestones and pearls. I used a simple word program to print out my name, which was in my desired font and the right size. I then covered the entire surface of the font with packaging tape and pressed down firmly and trimmed away any excess. Once I did that, I was ready to mix my paint. I mixed iridescent medium and acrylic paint into a small bowl. Turned out to be a little bit red, so I decided to add a little bit of white to make it a little bit more pink. And I just stirred this up a bit more. I also then made a piping cone, which you can also use an icing bag, and filled that and taped it to seal. Then, cutting off the piping bag tip, I then piped the letter and I did the outline first and filled the center. It can be a bit tricky and you definitely need a steady hand, so this part you take slowly and clean up your tip time to time, otherwise you can get a lot of paint on that end. I then added some iridescent highlights here and there on the letters just to add a little bit more dimension and detail. The great part of making letters this way is that you can pick and choose exactly the style of font you want. I left this overnight to dry, and as you can see the surface is a little bit more smoother as it's dried, and you simply remove the letters by peeling them away from the surface. They are still fragile, but they come away very easily from the tape. I did this with all the letters and carefully removed them. They turn out really wonderful, and you can actually use any kind of colour, but definitely use a heavy body acrylic medium. That's what gives it the strength and stability when you pipe. Once I'd peeled them all away, I turned them over and left them on a surface to dry a further few hours in case they were still damp or wet. Next was time to paint and prepare my background board, and this is just a 17-inch by 11-inch board that I had painted and had lying around. I painted it black and did one coat, and then I allowed that to dry and did a further second coat just to make sure it was fully covered. I also painted the sides and did a second coat for those too. Any kind of wooden panel or old piece of canvas can work for this project. I would say using a solid surface is easier to stick flowers and decorative elements on. Sometimes a canvas can be a bit tricky. The next step is to put your letters on. To do this, I find that it's easy to mask off the center so that you have a bit of a guide of where to place the letters. And to do this, I measured the length and found the middle, and then I measured 2 inches above and below those marks of the middle, and then put masking tape on, and that gave me a stretch of the middle where I could place my letters and just play with placement. Once you're happy with positioning of the letters, it's time to glue them on, and I use Aleens tacky glue. I find that it's very good, it dries clear, and it gives you a bit of wiggle room for placement as well if you need to move them around a bit. It does help at this stage to constantly kind of hold it up and see how the letters look at a distance. Sometimes there can be a very slight angle or shift in the letters where they look a little slanted, and we want to avoid that. Once they're all down, just press over the surface to make sure they're firmly stuck. When they're stuck down, just simply leave them to dry and remove your masking tape so you're ready to add the embellishments. I did have some iridescent paint which I piped onto the surface just to see how it would look, but in the end I decided to go against it and covered them with flowers. The simple technique of adding the flowers is just to work around your name and just try to use the bigger flowers on the corners and smaller flowers in between. And it's basically going by eye and kind of enjoying the process. I added buttons here and there. I also added rhinestones and whatever decorative elements that you find that are suitable for this project. A lot of the decor pieces I had, like the flowers, were already sticky, but I still add glue to them, especially on a surface like this. You want it to hold down, so I glue everything, even if it has a sticky back. Buttons and rhinestones are great fillers, so use your flowers first, put those down, and then work on filling. I used a lot of buttons for the centers of flowers. I think it's a really cute touch, and it really adds a playful element. As you can see, I'm using a lot of glue, and I'm using Aleens glue, which at the end will dry clear, but as you can see there's a lot of white everywhere, but I don't worry about those things. Once it dries clear, it'll look great. Now that it's complete, I left it on a flat surface for about 6 to 8 hours so the glue thoroughly dries. All the elements came together really well, and you can really play on different colours and put them together, and it will look very cohesive once it's done. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much.